The following conversation is with Dorota Stańczyk. Dorota doesn't describe herself as anything at all these days, and in this conversation, you can discover why. Dorota, it is such a great privilege to have you here with me today, not just because I have heard amazing stories about you, and I also researched you, of course, before this interview, and I'm just very curious to learn about your transformative journey. Could you please tell us how did it all start for you?
My goodness, I think my whole life was a transformational journey, and I think everyone's life is a transformational journey. But in my case, I was just forced a little bit earlier to look into all sort of alternative healing methods, methodologies, and tools, because I needed to heal myself physically. So I suffered as a child from a heart disease. And then I developed autoimmune condition that was called by Western medicine incurable. And so I didn't want to accept that as my reality. And so I started very early on to look for answers and look for basically how could I possibly cure myself, and was this really something that was unchangeable? And so I left to India when I was 19 to look for a person, a healer, a mystic that would miraculously cure me. And in India, I actually almost died. So my search for that better future, better life ended up in sort of massive disappointment with life. And so I developed, on top of everything, very, very dangerous infection, and I had to be transported by plane from Bangalore to Delhi to save me. I didn't have any strength to even lift my hand or speak any word, and I was actually convinced that was the end. And after that I developed for at least very, very strong panic attacks for at least a year, and that continues for a few years after that. And I just lost hope that life actually wanted to help me, that there was something there to discover. And so I continued the search from a very different place, losing a little bit of a hope that my reality was going to change. And until suddenly I completely surrendered, and I accepted that perhaps that was my destiny. Perhaps I was going to be sick for the rest of my life, and I had to learn and accept how to deal with it. And that was the beginning of the change. That acceptance and self-compassion I was capable of giving to myself initiated gigantic changes in my life that led me towards right tools, right people, right methodologies that enable me to cure myself.
Thank you for sharing. Yes, thank you for sharing the story. I didn't know the details on that journey. You mentioned something so important. You said that you decide to surrender. Mm-hmm. What was the pivotal moment when you said, like, that's it, I surrender, there's nothing else I can do? Was there anything like this at that moment?
There was a very specific moment like that. It was a moment when everything, all the aspects of my life sort of collapsed. I separated from my partner. I had a sort of massive transition in my life, work-wise. My health was not getting better, and it was just everything happening at the same time. And I just didn't have anything to grasp, anything to hold on to. There was nothing I could hold on to say, no, this is good. Actually, I can hold to that. And so that moment, I didn't really have a choice but to fall down and to collapse and to break. And in that break, I didn't realize many times, very often we perceive break as something that is negative, but the break is really a liberation, because it breaks everything that you have constructed around yourself, all the walls, all the concepts, all the entire belief system. It breaks it all and it shakes you so that you can rediscover yourself again. And so in that break, the surrender actually was initiated. And because of that loss of hope and loss of faith, I think we all know those moments in our life when those moments come, but those moments looking backwards are most of the time the most powerful transformative moments that we can possibly experience. So once you've learned that, you will look at the heartbreak or any break very differently, and you will look at it as an opportunity. This was my major break, first one that was major, and I didn't know what that meant back in the day. So I was really ready to just accept the things as they were, and stop hoping for something better. I stopped chasing after otherness. I completely dissolved within myself this desire to be someone else and to experience something else. And rather than trying to control my reality, control my life, my body, I started to look very carefully what actually the life was communicating to me and what was my body communicating to me. And I started to listen.
And fast forward to today, if you think and feel into yourself today, who are you, Dorota?
What a question. I don't think I would ever want to, as of today, I will never even try to describe myself. I will never even try to frame myself. I don't need to know who I am, and I don't want to know who I am. I don't think who I truly am is in any way describable, shapeable, frameable. And so how I walk through life is that I want to keep rediscovering myself every single day, and aspects of myself I haven't noticed yet, or I wasn't aware of, or look at things from a completely new angles. And so the moment I think I know who I am, I know something is wrong.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. That means that you basically discovered your own intrinsic freedom, and you are living these days based on the fundamental freedom that you created for yourself.
Absolutely, yes. So it's a really journey of non-attachment, including non-attachment to anything external, but also anything internal. So the moment I think I am something, and I refuse to see that I am not something else at the same time, that I am just this is what people, I think it's the biggest misconception of the understanding of who we truly are, because my deep belief is that within all of us there is an essence of everything and the aspects of the entire universe. And so you cannot say you are something without saying you are not something else. And so we must accept that I am everything I think I am, and I am everything that I think I am not. I am both polarities. I am all the aspects. Within me will be, the healer, the murderer, the mystic, the priest, the artist, but the saboteur, and so on and so forth. And only when I am ready to see those aspects within myself, to have compassion towards those aspects, to accept those aspects and to hold them, only then those aspects have no control over me, because they are conscious, right? And so everything that is suppressed within me will express itself externally through other people.
So
And come as a
So
mirror, basically.
Absolutely. That basically means that you embrace the yin and yang, the light and the dark side of yourself constantly, because that frees you up basically from all of the societal constraints and expectations.
I think it would free everyone up. You know, I feel like my whole concept it's a very non-dualistic concept of reality, and I think it's never-ending journey. But there is a reason why the separation exists, and there is a reason why the polarities exist, so that we can experience what it means to neutralize those polarities and reunite those polarities in wholeness. So to experience union and wholeness, we have to first experience the separation, and the contrast of different parts. And so it's a beautiful process to discover that, and it's never-ending journey. It's the most fascinating journey we can be on.
It looks like we are just all the time in a transition during this lifetime, right?
I think we all are. We can be conscious about this or not very conscious about this, but I think life is about becoming and unbecoming, and becoming again and unbecoming again. And it is a constant movement, because nothing is permanent in this reality.
Absolutely. From all of the different methodologies, methods, modalities that you have used over the years to be where you are today as a person, to come to this conclusion, this understanding of who you truly are, were there any specific modalities you would recommend?
My main modality is meditation. And now there's plenty of different types of meditations, of course, and everybody will resonate with something different. But I created my own meditations that work for me. It's very much basically coming back to that non-dualistic frequency, and holding space within that frequency, learning to be everything, connected to everything, interconnected with everything. And so by simply raising my frequency and the vibration of the body, everything that is not compatible in that frequency and vibration will automatically dissolve itself to the wholeness of that frequency. And so it's really to learn to be there, to hold that energy within yourself at any moment. And so in those deep meditations, those are the moments of enlightenment of my intuition, of clarity, of surrender, of freedom, and I'm simply trying to expand those moments so they really become something that I can feel in every moment, every day.
That's wonderful. I really appreciate that you shared that, because it's such a great example of how you truly can live your life based on who you truly are, not based on any external societal expectations or anything else that have happened or have not happened to you during this lifetime in general. Nevertheless, I would love to learn a little bit more about the traditions. Are there any specific traditions you have learned, or any specific things you learn from different traditions to come to the moment when you create meditations yourself?
I study most of the traditions. I've studied very carefully. I've studied Kabbalah, I've studied Sufism, I've studied Hinduism, I've studied Buddhism, Taoism, Qigong, and all of different modalities and philosophies and religions. And you realize that the truth is the same. They're all speaking about in the core of what they teach about. The core is the same. The information is the same, and so for me, the beginning, how it started, I needed still to, my mind needed to understand this reality with a story. Now I don't need a story anymore. So it's not important for me necessarily to understand, it's important to feel. And that became something that I try to really detach from all of the concepts and definitions, but simply be in connection with that energy that every single philosophy speaks about, to put it simply. But I would say there is no one path. There is only a path that your soul will choose to go through a very specific tasks and very specific transformations that you have to go through in this life. And for every person, this will be different. So there isn't any, unfortunately, anything that we can prescribe that will apply to everyone, right? It will be very personalized and it will be very individual journey. However, I would say if you practice presence, if you will learn to practice presence, full presence with what there is within you, what is life showing you in this specific moment, without this longing to be somewhere else and get somewhere, without the rejection of self, you will be guided towards exactly right people, exactly right methodologies, and exactly right tool for you. And you will
absolutely. Which basically means that the first step would be to live in the present moment and to trust that the world will unfold itself to you whenever you're ready to receive.
All the answers are here and now, only if you are ready to see them and look deep enough to see them.
You mentioned also something very interesting. You said that every soul has its own tasks. What are your tasks during this lifetime?
So this is something interesting, and because we are actually not supposed to know. And when you think about that, it's like if you knew what you came here for, your life would be very different. How you would operate would be very different. This life is about really mastering the choice, the power of choice, and the power of the intuition. And so only when you are presented with different options, you can respond to those options. And you can depend, based on what you feel, act in a specific way. And so our purpose, it's not what we imagine it is. Our purpose is not about creating anything external in this reality. It's not about any job. It's not about any relationship. It's not about any project. Our purpose is always based in our inner journey. So our life purpose very often is linked, for example, to learning self-compassion, self-love, the power of forgiveness, and so on. And so if this will be our life purpose, if this is what our soul signed up for before coming here, we will be presented with many different situations and relationships that will teach us first what self-compassion is not, what self-love is not, and what does it mean to not to forgive, so that we can learn and experience the contrast, and then based on that master what we came here to master, right? And so if we realize this, we will understand that we can choose whatever project we want, whatever job we want, whatever relationship. The lesson will be the same. So it's up to us what we choose and how we choose to learn that lesson. But we cannot fail, because whatever path we will choose will bring us to the same learnings, to the same transformation. Shorter way, longer way, doesn't matter, but we cannot fail. So that removes, this constant pressure we put on ourselves that there is something to be discovered. Like, I have to accomplish something. All you have to accomplish is your inner work, your inner evolution. And so there is a reason why our soul forgot about the tasks. Because if you remembered it, what would be the point of learning? There wouldn't be a point, right? There is a reason why we so often in life, when we think we know everything and we figured it out, a second after we don't know anything. And we lose that concept, because life is telling us you are not supposed to know. And you are not supposed to remember. So that you will truly go through those lessons and learn in the most profound way, right? But just knowing that whatever we are here for is nothing external. It's all about our internal journey. It's already extremely liberating, because whatever you will do, life will guide you towards that. Your soul, your inner self will guide you towards that. And that's the most beautiful process.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. I also know that you guide people through different transformative processes and help them really to discover their inner world. Could you give us an example of how you do it?
I cannot actually, because I never know what's going to happen. I never know what's going to happen. I don't know. When I'm hosting retreats, I don't know what is going to happen during my retreat. There is no plan, in the sense of course, the retreat is designed and there's time for everything. But when I have my time for myself, when I have 4 hours of coaching workshop, I have no idea what is going to happen during those 4 hours. And it's the only way to not let your mind speak from a memory, but to really speak from the truth of the present moment. And so when I sit with a person, we see what is present and what is needed, what tools are needed to be applied in that present moment to shift whatever is ready to be shifted or released or dissolved or transformed or loved simply and accepted within that person. And so, because through all of those years, I worked with so many methodologies and tools, it's all there, it's all within me. And so depending on what is needed, I will be shown what tools have to be used, and sometimes it's really simply being present with what shows up for long enough so that it can transform.
Is that exactly maybe what most of the people need? They need someone to witness them and witness their 100%. Journey in a way.
100%, absolutely. And we need that. Everyone needs that. And there is a point, there is a transformation point in our life that will basically, there is a certain line, how far can we go on our own? And after that point, we need the other to keep evolving. This life is designed on togetherness, on showing each other, being each other's mirror, and showing each other where do we have to shift, activating things within the other. I do believe that people we meet in our life are very crucial. They either make us aware of our triggers, or they activate our gift, or they complete us in a certain way, so we can really express ourselves differently and evolve differently. But every single person is a key for something, and there is no one, absolutely no one, who is accidental person in our life. we attract based on what is active in our energy field, what has to be transformed, what has to evolve. And so every single person is in information about what's going inside of us, and every single person brings and activates something within us. So we will always need that. As much as I love coaching people, I also loved being coached, and I have people who do it for me. This balance is really, really important. You will always be, if you're a teacher, you have to remember that you are, first of all, a student, and it's important to keep really that balance.
Thank you for mentioning that. I think that's something that we very often forget, especially in our Western world, where basically we live in a very individualistic world, and everyone tries to rely on herself or himself without asking for help. But the help is so much needed, or the attention, the witnessing, as you mentioned, is so much needed to evolve to the next stage of our lives, to the next stage of our development in general. And for you in general, I know that you are developing a fantastic project in Bali right now, Indonesia. Just to kind of changing the gears right now, I would love to ask you specifically about the mission and the purpose of this project, of this wonderful center that you are building over there.
So the idea is to really create a space for people to evolve and to transform. And I think the problem that I'm seeing in nowadays society is that people have no idea where to start if they want to touch and really start this spiritual journey, this journey of personal growth. They have no idea where to start. There's so much of everything, so many methodologies, so many tools, right? And most of the time those tools works on one dimension. You have either mindset training or embodiment practices or energy work. They're very separate. And I would love to create something that is combining all of those, basically all of the dimensions of our being, and so works on body, mind, spirit. And in such a center, we would host different events, we would host different conferences. There will be ongoing workshops, ongoing retreats that will be fully personalized. So no one will have the same experience. We would treat the person based on what are this person individuals need, and design the experience for them. So that is the dream, and hopefully we'll be able to build those centers all around the world.
Beautiful. Is there any way we can help you?
Well, investors are always very, very welcomed. This project needs a lots of investment, so absolutely. Yes.
So you're fundraising right now for the center.
We will be fundraising, yes.
Beautiful. I would love to know the details whenever you are ready to share
Okay.
that with me. But I also know, which is, first of all, congratulations, because it has been a long journey for you as well to come to the point where right now you can create something special for people, in your case in Bali, and then of course all around the world. I just would love to ask you about the book that you wrote, Recreate Yourself. I can imagine that the whole journey that you went through, all of the experiences they for sure brought you to the moment when you are today, but also your book is kind of capturing the essence of that. And I would love to ask you about the creative process that you put into writing this book.
This book took me over 10 years. And it's not because the process of creating this book was very interesting, because at first I started to have lots of downloads and information coming through meditation, and so I was starting to write it all down. And I wrote my first book that was purely teachings and zero of my personal story. And after 7 years, I decided to completely erase that book and start again, because I realized that the point was to show really who I was and to share my story, and also to go through like detaching from what I was considering my biggest baby, was very powerful to realize I'm not this book, and I'm letting go of this one, and I'm going to start and rewrite write the second basically book. And the second book took me probably around 3 years. And I remember the moment when I really felt the book was ready. I had that thought, okay, well, I will just put it as a PDF on my website for people to download it, because I knew how hard it was to get a publisher. And within 3 weeks, I've received a random email from one of the biggest publishing houses in UK, offering me to write a book with them about self-love. And so it was really a miracle, and it was really a beautiful story, because publishing this book was the most effortless process ever. It was almost like it was meant to be. And this book, I truly believe, has its own life. It's there. It's a very practical book because it has exercises at the end of every chapter. It has over, if I'm not mistaken, over 30 different exercises. And I promise, if you do all of those exercises, your life will change 100%. Those were some of the exercises. Well, I've done obviously all of them, but those were some of the exercises I really started with, to really clean my subconscious, to really clean my belief system. And I love that about this book, that it gives you something that you can actually work with. And so I really hope it's going to help many people. And right now it's going to be published in US finally after 2 years. So it's going to be released in the US market. So hopefully people will love it there as well.
Congratulations. Beautiful. And also, I'm sure there will be many more books coming up for you and written by you, and based on all of the beautiful things that you are sharing also today with us, but also we are going to share in the future. When you think about the future, I know we talk about living in the present moment as the most important part, but still we are living in the very, let's say, linear world. And we talk very often about the future and our hopes for the future. If you would think about your hopes for the future, your visions for the future, what would you like to share with us?
I don't think about the future. And I don't think it's wise to think about the future, because thinking about the future forces you to leave the present moment. I do not want to know what might happen. I'm not interested by that. I think knowing what will happen, it will be extremely depressive. And think about this. If I gave you a choice to know the rest of your life, would you like to know?
Well, I call it in creative world, we talk about, daydreaming, that daydreaming also helps us a lot to create new things. So I'm coming from this perspective of daydreaming as a kind of foundation also for us to imagine better. So I'm more on the, let's say, positive side when it comes to duality.
Yes, and I fully understand where you come from, and daydreaming isn't something I do anymore. And I really try to bring myself continuously to the present moment. But I do understand, creatively speaking, envisioning projects, envisioning certain things can be very enriching. And I'm not saying visualization is bad, but I wouldn't be fantasizing about what might happen, because if that doesn't happen, you're unavoidably going to meet with disappointment. And that is basically a disconnect between reality and what you expect the reality to be. And I feel it's very healthy to not expect the reality to be in any way, and to not have any prejudgment of it. And simply welcome every single moment with open arms and an open heart and massive curiosity. Yeah,
that's for sure. That's absolutely, that's part of being a creative person anyway. I'm so excited for you and your future plans, also in Bali, Indonesia, but also all around the world. And I know that you have been very involved in many different projects, also with Mind Bali and other different brands, were there any specific lessons that you took out of those experiences?
Every single project, every single relationship, every single path I took was very unique and brought very specific lessons that are not really comparable. But what would be the summary of it as of today? I believe that working on others people projects and supporting those big brands really helped me to connect even more to what was that I wanted to create myself, and in a certain way that path of stopping to work for other people and believing that actually I am the creator of my life and I have everything at my disposal to really create the reality I want, and stop compromising myself in any shape or form to adapt to other people's ideas and versions of reality. So as of today, I wouldn't be capable to work on any project that is in any way misaligned with who I am today. And before, I was definitely compromised a lot.
Thank you for sharing that. I feel you so much on this topic because that's what I experience as well. And I feel like most of the time it's because maybe, you know, that applies definitely to myself, is that because I discover what are my core values and they're just non-negotiable.
Amazing.
And that's how it's easier, at least for me these days, to have this very strong foundation of what is important to me, what are my values, and based on that to make decisions about whatever comes, if there will be any important decisions to be made.
Absolutely. You can do that. You can have your values that are very clear, or you can simply listen to your body. Is my body open? Is my body, relaxed, or do I feel my body actually closing and retracting? And that's already a sign on its own.
Absolutely.
How your body reacts to a person, a situation, a job offer.
Yes, which basically means that one of the lessons, definitely my lesson, is that we should listen to ourselves, to our bodies, because they know faster than our cognitive
100%.
capabilities, that's for sure. And what I love that you mentioned that basically you allowed yourself at some point to become a creator. And that's something to celebrate, because right now you have this very strong foundation of creation and just the belief that you can do whatever, and you're just living in the present moment and embrace whatever is coming. And I feel like that's the most important lesson from all of the lessons that you share with us today, to embrace and to be who you are in the present moment and create based on that.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful summary. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Dorota. It has been such a great privilege to know you and to get to know you better today and to understand better of your journey and your fantastic future projects. I keep my fingers crossed for you, and I'm sure everything will unfold in a perfect time and a perfect way for you and everyone else who is included.
Thank you so much. This was such a lovely conversation, and I'm super grateful to be here and spread some of my stories and meet someone who looks at the reality in a similar way. So that's already a gift.
Thank you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Creative Bites. It's been a pleasure sharing these stories and insights with you. Remember, creativity is all around us, ready to be discovered, nurtured, and celebrated. I'm Ivona Fruda, and until next time, keep creating, keep exploring, and keep inspiring. Thanks for listening, and goodbye for now.